Welcome back, Star Wars fans. This is the Star Wars Universe podcast, and today myself and Ashley Coffin are continuing our conversation about The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 5. All that and more after a commercial break we have no control over. Hello again, this is Matthew, your host. As I said, I'm joined by Ashley Coffin. Last week, I was traveling. I was at PAX East, which was an awesome experience, but I couldn't get online to record. And so Ashley was willing to take the lead along with Paul. Thank you so much. How was that recording on it last week?
It was fun. It was great to get on with Paul again. Him and I haven't gotten a chance to record anything in a long time. Mm-hmm. And I was very happy that he took my plea. I sent him a raven and everything went really well.
Awesome. Yeah, well done.
And we had a good time and we enjoyed the episode. So it was a good conversation.
Cool.
We commandeered the ship.
Exactly. Well, as always, you returned it without a scratch, as far as I can tell. Even the navigational disc is still on it. And I'm excited to jump into this episode. What'd you kind of think overall? We had a lot going on.
I mean, I hate to start to feel like a broken record, but God, I loved it. Like I really did. I really did. I'm a sucker for action, and they just fed me. I felt fed. I was served. Yeah. It was great. I like where the story's going. I was worried in the beginning that it was going to be an episode all about the character that we met earlier in the series. What's his name? The
Pirate
X-Wing.
King?
No. The
X-Wing pilot, Carson Teva.
Yes. Not that I wouldn't absolutely enjoy a whole episode of him, but I know there's only so many episodes of Mandalorian. And it's okay to do that during Boba Fett, but I don't want any more non-Mandalorian episodes. So I'm glad that it didn't go that way, and I felt very satisfied with where it went. How about you?
Yeah, I think I felt the same. I think, they have given us a lot of great pirates over the years. And, Han Solo and that whole smuggler division. And also in some of the TV shows I know that you haven't seen, especially in animation, some great characters. One of them is Cad Bane, who we did get to see in Book of Boba Fett. Another's Hondo Ohnaka. There's just a lot of these great characters, some of whom are outright pirates.
Okay, cool.
Walking Seaweed Man is not who I'm going to list among their ranks.
No.
His name is Gorian Shard. He is the Pirate King. He has not sung Gilbert and Sullivan, as I think someone who calls themselves a Pirate King should. And frankly, I just kept waiting for him to take a piece of seaweed and drape it across his face like a mustache so he could twirl it.
The only thing I noticed, I was like, wow, that CGI is great. And that's all I took from that character.
Yeah. The CGI of him was great. The CGI of Zeb was great. Have you heard about this Easter egg that we got?
No, but I'm sure.
So do you remember when that X-Wing pilot, Carson, was talking to other pilots, there was one who was a larger alien who's kind of like purplish?
At the bar.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's a character named Zeb Aurelios, who is one of the stars of Rebels.
Oh, really? So people are really excited about that then?
They're very excited. The voice actor was the same.
Oh, good.
It was so great. And I just felt like it was just a wonderful moment. Like, again, you didn't lose anything by not knowing who he was.
Not at all. It was
just a throwaway thing.
But I was surprised he didn't go with him with how he was talking. I was like, oh,
I was too.
That was it was a noticeable scene. And then it didn't, the fact that he just was like, oh, I'm not going to go. I was like, that's weird. Like, that really felt like we were starting something. But the fact that now knowing that is a loved character, that makes a lot of sense now. That's awesome.
And it made me so happy, but I will say, I feel like his special effects budget was dead on. The special effects budget for Mr. Seaweed Man, I thought he looked ridiculous, but it was very well done. I thought some of the other aliens looked pretty bad.
It was a little clay, mushy, like clay.
Clay, and something about the Trandoshan, who was the lizard person who was on their ship helping and firing the guns.
He was the paint, yeah.
He looked like he was original series Star Trek alien, just wearing a bad plastic helmet or clay helmet.
I'll always take costumes and masks and makeup over CGI. So I did kind of appreciate that. But if you CGI the eyes, it all ends up looking like a cartoon. So
yeah, that's fair.
You're right.
Yeah, that's fair. But other than that, that was my little gripe. I did love and you know, the pirates were what the pirates were. Every villain doesn't have to be a great ethically deep and morally gray. Some are just pirates and you just got to blow them up. And I thought the fight scenes were really satisfying. The whole get the team together was really satisfying.
Yeah. When it's funny, it's like save that CGI money for when we do the space jumps, because one of my favorite shots in the entire episode was the Mandalorians going through jump space to show up at the planet. And I just was like, wow, that looked so good. They're doing so well. But I love the conversation they had in their, Mandalorian cave. But I remember when that guy was talking, I was like, there's no way he's going to really be like, no, let's not. Oh, there it is. So,
yeah.
But I was like very happy with it. I don't care how cheesy it was. I was happy.
I loved it. And again, I think just from what we've seen, we know how important it is. I think it's also worth saying that his clan, the Vizsla clan, and Bo-Katan's clan, the Kryze clan, they've had rivalry going back generations, including to when her sister Sabine was ruling, Satine was ruling, but other things. And so, so for him to stand up for her, you're right, it was a really beautiful moment. And I loved, too, that we get... Mando gives this initial speech, and I remember, I wrote in my notes, he's a halfway decent leader. He gives a good speech, but he just he's the appetizer, and then she gives that speech about, why they need to do this. And I was like, you know what? She sounds like a ruler.
You anywhere.
Yep.
And I am actually really excited about where we are with her character, that now she gets to take her helmet off, because I said to Ken, I was like, she has mastered sexy walk in this Mandalorian outfit like nobody else has. She saunters, and I'm like, Katie Sackhoff, yes, serve. She, but now I was shocked at that scene at the end. Are we jumping all over too much, or do you want to?
Yeah, no, this is fine. I mean, the thing was, this episode was mostly action, and it was fun action. I loved it. But, we're not the podcast to be like, oh, yeah, and then this laser blast was great. Then this was great. So, yeah, let's just jump over the character moments and all the things we thought were cool.
I loved that. What is her name? They call her the
armorer.
The armor. I was like, the smithy, the armorer. It's surprising that she would make a turn like that when she has been just so earnest and, this is the way, this is how we do things. But for her to realize that, no, we have to, if we're going to get our numbers back and if we're going to get our people back and reclaim Mandalore in whatever version that means, we have to bring everybody in. And I don't know, I thought she was tricking her. I was like, don't do it, girl. Don't do it. The second you do it, she's going to be like, get out of here. But she didn't.
Yeah, you're right. And I love that she doesn't say, you claim to have seen the mythosaur. She doesn't say, she just says, you saw the mythosaur. There's no doubt in her mind.
I didn't think she believed her.
Well, so here's the question I want to ask. The question is kind of, how cynical should we be about this? Because on the one hand, I could see this, that the armorer does believe in these things. And, there's a whole discussion that's been going on about is this group too rigid? And I think it's awesome when a group can be like, no, new information is coming to us. We need to adjust. And this whole idea of the new way, I can fully believe that the armorer is this is the way to go. We need to adjust our beliefs. On a more cynical level, the armorer wants to rebuild the Mandalorians. She wants to rebuild Mandalore. And I think she's also just seen very clearly Bo-Katan is someone people will follow into battle. And so my cynical side is she looking at this and thinking, I'm hitching my wagon to that star. And if I have to talk her up like a prophet, and if I have to bend some of the things, well, this will bring her into my circle of influence, and maybe I can convince her to put the helmet back on. I really wanted to be the first.
I mean, she got her to conform, if that's the word we want to use, and be a part of it. And I could see her doing it with others. But as long as she keeps it as a voluntary thing, I think it's okay. But as if they start getting mean about it.
Yeah. Well, so let's I think that there may be a little bit of cynicism there, but I think I come down with it. She is a believer in a lot of ways about this, and that's awesome. And where are you kind of feeling about the Children of the Watch in general now? Because this has been a big debate online this week, especially after last week was, a lot of people really want them to be seen as this kind of like fundamentalist religious sect and a commentary on that. Other people are like, no, they're awesome. And I think a lot of us started the season thinking it was going to be all about sort of us against that group. And instead it's become about this melding. How are you feeling about them?
Well, after this episode specifically, it seems like if they can start to be more open to not pushing what they think onto other Mandalorians who are not doing, it's very religious. It's very religious, like what they're doing, and just be open to them about it, that it'll work out. But, I didn't think for a second there was any underlying things until you just put that in my head. And now I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, I don't want to be cynical. I don't actually think that's true, but I'm also making a convincing case, as I said it.
One thing I felt about this episode is everything went too well. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's just too much Game of Thrones in my life or whatever shows I've watched where things horribly go wrong. Even when Carl Weathers was giving his speech, I thought he was going to get shot. I kept going to Ken. I was like, oh my God, something's going to happen. Something's going to happen. And then I thought that Bo-Katan was in trouble. I was like, she's going to be like, I got you doing something, or pulling her. I was negative the whole way through. And I'm like, wait a minute. Oh, it can't just be me. This all went way too well.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're definitely going to have, because this is not all the Mandalorians by any means, and there's still a big fight to take back Mandalore. And I imagine that, we still got a ways to go in this season and that there's a lot still to happen. But yeah, I'm okay with the fact that, that we didn't see Vizsla. I am 100%. If Vizsla turns out to be just faking so he can betray them, I'll be really pissed. I believe he's like, yeah, you rescued my son.
Yeah, he seems.
I'm with you,
He's with it. But I'm very confused about the ending with the, speaking of other Mandalorians finding the piece of armor, the Beskar in the ship. Is that something I'm missing, or do you know what that is?
No, I have no idea what that is. I don't know if that's, I mean, we know there were lots of other Mandalorians running around.
Yeah.
Yeah. Certainly the client way back in season 1, the person who was basically working for Moff Gideon, but who wanted Grogu so bad, he had Beskar in raw form, but still he had Beskar that he was able to sell to the Mandalorian. And presumably, when they bombed the planet of Mandalore so badly, they looted it as well. And so
it's around.
I think certainly we know that there were a couple of the other of the, I think it's not Children of the Owl, but the Night Owls. That's the name of Bo-Katan and her group. She's got the owl painted on her armor. There were the 2 that were with her last season.
I said that again. He's like, they're dead. I go, no, they're not dead.
Yeah, but it could be one of those. I certainly got the impression that there were hundreds of others who she was trying to marshal into an army with the Darksaber. And it is interesting to me that the Darksaber's been totally forgotten in all this. But again, it makes, as someone who's a student of religion, I think it's very interesting how there are traditions today that we look back on and we forget that at the time they were happening, no one was like, no, this is the way it's always going to be. It's So you have this group who really believes in keeping on your helmets, and you have this group who really believes in the sword is what matters. And we're going to see what happens. And it might be that in 1,000 years, no one remembers the story of the sword because it turned out to be useless. Or it might be that that there's going to be the children of the dark blade and the children of the, the helmet or the watch, or whatever. And there's going to be these different groups. And I think on a different episode, I'm going to specifically just talk about the Mandalorians as a religion and looking at them through, and specifically as a religion in diaspora, and all that kind of stuff. But what I just feel like is that they're not saying they're a fundamentalist cult and they're evil. They're not saying that they're awesome and good and right. They're saying they're a bunch of people who've had their planet blown up and are trying to cling to whatever of their traditions they can and raise foundlings in this way that a lot of us might look at askance and have some problems with. But it's what they're doing, and it's who they are. And they're not trying to make a moral judgment about it. They're just saying who they are. And I kind of love that for Star Wars.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a very interesting idea. And for them to this season be like, oh, we're going to accept other people in. Let's try to, build this thing now that they have a home kind of again on Navarro.
Yeah.
I do think that it's really cool because the whole time you're like, where are we going with this? There's a handful of you living in a cave. This can't be great.
Yeah.
It's not ideal. There's dragons and there's crocodiles and that are the size of King Kong, and you got to get out of there.
Yeah. And they were on Navarro before. I mean, that's where they were back when in season 1 when they had the covert.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, now she has to rebuild that whole thing somewhere else. Ugh.
Yeah, the forge. The forge has to keep. I hope they have like a kit at this point. Like they just have like a case that goes in.
Relocate this to there. I don't know how it works.
I mean, I think the idea though is that even Navarre is supposed to be temporary. That they're going back to Mandalore.
Oh, well, that's what she meant by we're going to retake Mandalore, because they went down there and said that it's okay, kind of.
Yeah, and there's a mythosaur somewhere around there. So I mean, kind of like what we had with the, I want to say the Gorgon, or that's not it. The Rancor, once that Rancor showed up, especially when you knew he had to ride it by the end of the last episode. And I think we know that either the Armorer or Bo-Katan has to ride the Mythosaur by the end of this season.
Are those traditionally rideable? Did the Mandalorians ride them into battle or no?
I think no one really knows.
Okay.
I think but I think there are legends about people riding them into battle.
Okay. Then yes.
But yeah.
And I hope it's Bo-Katan.
Yeah, agreed.
She's our, what do they say in Dune? I can't remember. The guy the Timothée Chalamet's character who rides the sandworm.
Oh, yes. You're the Dune expert.
I know,
not me.
it's like milk.
Yeah.
Yes,
but yeah, no, I would like it. I have really loved the direction they're going with her character, and I think it's been really exciting. And I don't get why people don't like the show. I understand if the whole thing on Coruscant wasn't your thing.
Like the show.
Lots of people have been saying it's gone backwards. That it's not as exciting.
The internet anymore.
Yeah, no, I think you're better off.
Yeah, I always judge it by Ken, because Ken is my real world person who won't just like it to like it. I'm like, oh, there's lightsabers. I thought that was cool. And what he's been enjoying this season, so I go off him.
Yeah,
F the haters.
Well, I have a question for you about the future of Star Wars that we'll ask in our Patreon section. It's going to be a short episode, but I think it wasn't too much to talk about. Are there any other last things you wanted to comment on, though, or bring up?
No, I'm just super excited for Bo-Katan. Like I said, I was worried that something was going to go wrong the entire time. Everything was going right. And I was just really relieved to have stuff go right for once, which makes me also worried that stuff's going to start to go horribly wrong. But we'll see where she's going. And so far, she's been my favorite new character heroine to love. And I know that a lot of people have loved her for a long time. I don't know if she was as likable on the show. But I love her, and she's great.
Yeah. And again, I think that's it's why I think you're such a good guest for the show, because I love getting to hear that, because for me, she has so much nostalgia tied up with her. And she does some terrible things, but I think she's had a real redemption arc, and I think it's been great seeing her go in this direction. And so, I'm just excited to see that. And I will say also, the one last thing we haven't touched on, because we got into that Beskar armor thing, but also Moff Gideon has escaped.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I figured, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You figured he was going to.
Well, they said it earlier. He was like, you never showed up for trial. I was like, shocker.
Yeah. I thought that might mean that because we know that some Imperial officers are still, have basically penetrated into the New Republic bureaucracy, that maybe there'd been some shenanigans there, but having him just be flat out that ship attacked.
Yeah.
Probably it was an inside job, but still it was okay. So he's loose again. So we'll see.
But he doesn't have a darksaber.
Nope. Do not have the darksaber yet. All right.
Well, good. No, actually, I want him to take it back and then let Bo-Katan kill him and then take it. Yeah. That would be my dream ending for, what is it, 8 episodes we have here?
Yeah. And I don't know, because I'm trying not to get too theological here, but I really believe in ideas where you want to follow the spirit of the law much more than just the exact letter of the law. I've talked before about how half of my family is Jewish, and so I'm not Jewish religiously, but I grew up in that and the cultures and traditions. And one of the traditions in Judaism is that at Yom Kippur, which is this very holy day in the fall, you're supposed to fast all day. That is the rule. But also, the overarching rule in pretty much all of Judaism is life, and that life is sacred and life is to be protected. Not in the pro-life way. Judaism is very clear about when life begins, and it's not a fetus. But that life is sacred and to be protected at all costs. So if you are someone who could endanger your health, you are actually specifically forbidden to fast because, yes, following the letter of the requirement will be really bad for you, and you're not supposed to do that. And so, when it was a couple episodes ago or last season when, Din took his helmet off because if he doesn't, he's not going to rescue a foundling, which is supposed to be their primary mission. And also him and comedian guy who's with him are both going to die. Bo Burr, thank you. And they never give him a chance to say, yes, you had a legit reason to do it. It's just no, you shouldn't do it. And to me, that's where it becomes more cult-like, when it is that specific and fundamentalist.
Agreed.
And so seeing the armorer bend on that and seeing no, maybe... Shocked. Yeah, it was great, but seeing no, maybe there is this other way, and we're going to keep our helmets on, but you're not, and maybe this is okay. Yeah, that's what I want to see. And there was a connection to the original thing we're talking about that I can't remember the slightest. But, just further, because I feel I wonder if she can now do kind of the same thing of look, just Mando, just give me I'm going to punch you in the face. You're going to give me the Darksaber. It's going to be fine.
Just give it to me. I don't think he wants to give it up, though. I think but he still doesn't know how to use it. She's so good with it. Just give it to her.
Maybe just
and then I want them to get married.
I don't know. The way she was sitting in that chair read major bisexual vibes back a couple episodes ago.
That's true.
There's been and there was some chemistry, I thought, with her and the armorer. There's a big push in that direction. I could see that happening. I don't forget about the sexualities of either character. I don't really love her and Din together, but I can totally understand where that's coming from. So I got no problem with people who ship it. It's just I'm a bow armor kind of person.
Okay.
So, all right. Well, what are you up to these days for people who want to follow Ashley? Because you're all over Stranded Panda. You got a bunch of different podcasts you're doing. Where can people find you?
You can always find me at the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast on all the things. And then my baby is Bill and Ashley's Terror Theater, where we dissect movies from beginning to end, how they're made, what it's about, all the things. Very fun. We just covered Young Frankenstein, so it's not just horror. Frankenstein, as he prefers to be called.
Yeah, I grew up on that movie. I love it. I'm really excited to hear what you have to say about it. So it's definitely check out all the things Ashley's doing. I'm sorry I interrupted you, though.
Was there any more that was it.
Okay. MCU Cast, Terror Theater. And just check out all the things on Stranded Panda. They have a new podcast that's coming out about the multiverse, and it's all about talking about upcoming news of shows and things like that. It's basically therefore in my mind, all spoilers, so I'm not going to go near it with a 10-foot pole, but I'm sure it's going to be awesome. So check out all things Stranded Panda. You go to strandedpanda.com to do that. And of course, check out the other things going on with my podcasts. We've been doing coverage of The Last of Us. I just watched all of Shadow and Bone and talked about that. I just watched all of Severance, which is one hell of a mind teaser that I was not expecting. My partner and I put the first episode on at about 5 o'clock thinking, we're in the middle of a video game binge all day, but our food just got here. Let's watch one episode and then we'll go back to the video game. 9 hours later, we got to the end of the first season and we're like, wow, what the hell just happened? But you can find that, and most importantly, all the ways to support this podcast through Patreon. I'm sorry. You can find the ways to support this podcast, Patreon and all that, but most importantly, all the ways to give us feedback. I love to hear from you. Love listener feedback, conversations. We've had some great conversations on TikTok and Twitter recently. You can find all the ways to contact us right there on theethicalpanda.com. So please check all of that out. Check out strandedpanda.com. Most importantly, have a great day. We have spoken.
Bye.
All right, so for Patreon listeners, thank you as much always for supporting. What you're doing is awesome. Ashley, starting this week, and I believe this weekend, around this time, certainly, is Star Wars Celebration in London. And so this is a huge time. It's kind of like what Comic-Con is for Marvel and DC. And so it's also when Star Wars announces all the big things that are coming up. And I'm curious from you, as someone who doesn't stay plugged into all that stuff, if you were like, here are movies or TV shows that I would love to see, what are characters or stories that you would love to see coming out of Celebration?
Well, I know that they're doing a Sith
The Acolyte
focused TV show coming up. What is it called? Yes, that's something I've
and that's
always
apparently
really
supposed to
wanted
be
to see.
a kind of R-rated
so they are
adult
kind
show
of doing
with a
that,
good
which is
deal of
exciting.
like intrigue and there's gonna be some after dark conversations about that. I think
better
we're finally
be.
gonna get the idea that like
we are
you can
covering
get it a little bit in the Star Wars universe. So that's gonna be great. Yeah. Like other particular characters
like
where you're like, I'd love to see like more of
besides
this
things
character
that are like
or like
announced.
this period of time. Yeah.
Well, because I don't
That's
know
fair.
a lot about the Clone Wars, I wish that they would do all of that live action. Just give it to us.
Yeah.
Just give it. You could de-age everybody.
That's
Don't
fair.
act like you can't do it. Just give me the whole show so I can finally watch it.
Mara Jade, yeah.
I've always wanted to
And
hear
she's
about
not
Luke
in canon, she's
Skywalker's
in Legends,
girlfriend,
but
Jade
yeah, I
Mara.
mean, it's a very interesting character.
Mara Jade.
Yeah, as much as I wish you loved animation,
Just do
I
it.
get it because frankly, I can't read comic books. I just can't make my brain do it. And I always wish someone would write a novelization of the comic books. Like, just stave all the dialogue and write a few lines about what's happening in the art and just give it to me. So I get that. So.
That does, yeah. And I've watched some of the like important Clone Wars ones just so that I knew what was going on with Mandalorian and then I would know who Bo-Katan was and everything. But it was hard for me. I tried to start at the beginning and I was like, no. And I went to Google and I was like, top 15 of these episodes because my God, there's a million of them.
Especially with the Clone Wars.
And I watched
there's
no
a lot of
Rebels.
Trek. There's a lot of episodes that are just real hard to get through. Yep.
But like even not watching Rebels, I know that somebody important's name is Ezra. So like I know things.
Yeah.
Well, that's the show but right behind the Acolyte is the Ahsoka show. I can't wait. I just want to know when that's coming out. I'm very excited.
Who's the person who's been helping with the Bad Batch, she's an Ahsoka cosplayer. She's dived real deep into that character. She's going to be on some of those episodes. I'd love to get you on for some of those episodes. Like I think that's going to be one that everybody has something to say about. So that's going to be a fun one. Yeah, no, I hear that. I know there was talk about Ryan Johnson. This might be heresy, especially to an MCU person, because I know the MCU is doing this so much now. Everyone's trying to follow along. We're getting so many like, oh, we announced this project, but especially in Star Wars, but I think everyone's doing a little bit of this. They're trying to cancel some projects or change some projects. I wish that they were just like, you know what? Until we actually start filming something, we're not going to tell you anything. You know, just like.
I'm cool with that too.
Yeah.
I don't need D+ day. I don't need all that stuff. I don't care.
Yeah.
What the next 15 movies are.
I used to love.
Let me know when you start production.
Maybe we're never going to get this, but I used to love going to the movies, and then I'd go to a preview, and I'd spend the first 15 seconds being like, "Wait, is this?" Like I remember when the Hunger Games previews came out, and I kind of vaguely knew they were making a movie, but I was like, wait, is this? Oh my God, it's the Hunger Games! This is so great, you know. And same with Star Wars, same with some Star Trek stuff, and I would just we're never gonna get back to that, but I don't. Tell me what you're shooting already. That's what I most want to know.
No.
So. Yeah.
Yeah. If you have a trailer for something, then it's done. I don't need this timeline that you might change because that's where the MCU went wrong. They're like, we're gonna have the Blade movie, we're gonna have this, and everything's gonna tie in, and now they're changing it. It's like, don't put those precedent. Like you aimed for the sun, Icarus. You gotta reel it back, baby. So, but I still think they'll know they know what they're doing. I think now that James Gunn is over at DC, they're gonna have some competition because I think he's very competent. We'll see what happens. But I want the DC movies to start being like I just want everything to be great. That's all. If they're firing people,
I know
it's for a reason.
Like the MCU,
I don't know what's going on over there, but I know there's a lot of drama.
Hardcore MCU people in there, and I love the MCU. But every now and then, there's a little bit of like MCU. This is the greatest thing ever, and everything DC sucks. And it's like, right? And until like
Batman.
Iron Man and Robert Downey Jr.,
I love Batman
you stack
so
up
much.
the Marvel movies versus the DC movies, and Marvel's the junior varsity. Like they're not getting it done in the same way. So anyway, I wanted to hear that. It'll be great when all the stuff comes out. We can talk about it then. But Ashley, as always, thank you so much for being a part of this. To all of our listeners, thank you so much. Have a great night.
Bye.